And we're live once again on another Tuesday, and I got a special guest and friend in the house today. If you guys were on Clubhouse yesterday, now you get to see our wonderful Jules White. Here she is. So, Jules White, we are talking today about let's start selling from the heart. But first of all, just in case there's somebody who doesn't know you, could you just quickly introduce yourself so people can figure out what you do?
Oh, hello, Gillian, my friend, my Clubhouse fab friend. It's lovely to do this with you. It so is. I'm so excited. And I am based in the UK. Jules White, obviously my name is there. The thing about me is I've been selling for 30 plus years. And when I started this business that I run, which is called Live It, Love It, Sell It, I did that 4 years ago, and I wanted to bring sales to everyone in a different way. I wanted people to feel like sales was comfortable. I wanted them to fall in love with selling. And I know that sounds like a bit far-fetched, but I truly believe that sales is about conversation. Our life skills are our sales skills, and it's just about human connection. And they're the bits I don't think we get taught so much in sales training. So that's where I come from. Lots of experience in lots of sectors. Dragon's Den, if any of you, obviously the UK guys will know Dragon's Den, but I pitched a business in there in 2005. And for you guys who are in other parts of the world, you have Shark Tank, I think it's called. Yeah, it's the same kind of thing where you pitch to the rich dragons or the rich sharks, and I got investment from Peter Jones way back. So that is kind of part of my background, but I just want everybody to understand that sales is just a fabulous thing.
It's great. It's great. And it's so funny. Like I just have to, for a second, just think of the analogy of in the UK, it's Dragon's Den, which sounds so adventurous and lovely. I'm thinking Lord of the Rings and, all that sort of, and here in America, Shark Tank. Like you could just kind of go, no wonder Americans have like issues with sales. We talk about Shark Tank, you just think of a shark. It's horrible.
I have to tell you though, Gillian, Dragon's Den is quite brutal. If you watch it on the TV, it's just as harsh, and it's the fire-breathing dragons, really, in that sense. But it is wonderful TV, which we always have to remember it is television. But it was a super experience, and it is part of what makes me who I am today. So I do like to at least tell people about that experience. If necessary.
It's awesome. And I would also put in a plug for your TED Talk and we'll put that in the show notes because that is I loved your TED Talk. Your TED Talk is also a part of what shapes you, who you are. And I know I'm a big fan of your book. I read it. I loved it. I lived it, liked it, read it, the whole bit. And I left the Amazon, review to prove it because I truly believe in supporting authors with Amazon reviews. And one of the things about your book is that in your book, you talk about it's our life skills that shape our sales skills. And yet we think we have to check that at the door, that when we get into sales, it can't be, like selling from the heart. What the, no, I have to be a shark, I have to show up and have the Jaws theme in the background, as I go to approach a client. And I know we talked this weekend, we were catching up as friends, and we talked this weekend about during this last year, people have been very hesitant to sell because of the pandemic and kind of going, oh, it's icky. People are sick and dying and losing jobs and I can't sell. And now people are kind of starting to shake that off. Not that your lockdown's over. I'm so sorry about that. But it's just this idea that it's like, okay, I have to eat, so I have to start selling. But we have an expression here in America, which may not be British, and it's called selling from the heels, where we actually, what that means is you're selling leaning out instead of leaning in. And that's where we apologize. Like, well, I know you probably don't want this. And it's like, we're already leading with that as opposed to selling from the heart, what does that mean? Like it's funny, two different body parts, but one is a negative and one is a positive. So let's start off by saying, what does it mean to sell from the heart? Because I only know sell from the heels, which is apologetic. You probably aren't even going to buy, and I'm probably icking all over you by even bringing this up, right?
I love your descriptions, Gillian. And I think, it is what we say. It's selling from the heart. When you think about this is about caring. This is about helping. And actually, I think most entrepreneurs who run their own businesses, and that's predominantly my audience, I believe that they sell for the right reasons. I think they sell because ultimately they want to help people. Maybe they've had an experience in their lives that meant that they learned something that they now want to pass on, or they invented something. When I had my baby business, I had mums who invented things because they had a problem. So they invented something to solve the problem. This is that caring, sharing, helping place, which I believe a lot of entrepreneurs come from, but it's transferring that thought process and the heart stuff into the sale. And that's why the life skills, the sales skills thing is so important, because we have been selling since we were literally born. And all of the skills we developed to get what we needed, to ask for things, to get the help we wanted when we were children, those are sales skills. Conversation, listening, asking wonderful questions. And I think those lovely natural skills for me have often been lost in sales training, because we have been told, actually, sales is a selfish thing, guys. You have to get what you want to get. You've got to do it in your time. Your customer buys what you want to sell. And that was, I know I'm exaggerating, but that was the base principle of sales training when I was trained to sell. So selling from the heart is actually that human stuff, which is all those natural, loving, caring, helping things that we do beautifully as humans. That's what it means.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And it's funny, one of my very first jobs as a teenager was selling newspaper subscriptions over the phone. And it was like, probably that is your, typical sales job. When you think of a sales job, and they literally gave you, sheets and sheets of phone numbers. So you just, oh my gosh. And you're selling a newspaper. And it was, I think it was like in Toronto, it was called the Globe and Mail, which was like a very dry, think of the Wall Street Journal, it's very, very dry, businessy newspaper. And I remember kind of going, but I don't read this paper. Like, we don't get this paper. I don't know this paper. If it was the Toronto Sun, I would have got it. And they said, never mind, you just sell it. And because I saw no value in it, and I was terrified, and I think I quit on the second day, or maybe I probably was just fired, because I was terrible. Because I was selling for the heels. I know you probably don't want this newspaper, but... And I think that's the whole thing. It's like, if you don't see any value in something, how can you, you think of those job interviews where they say, okay, sell me this pen. How could you sell a pen? But you could sell maybe the concept of, with the pen, I can write, and I'm a writer, and I get out my thoughts, and, I do all my mental health through journaling or something. So now all of a sudden the pen has value because of what the pen can do for you. And I think maybe that's part of selling from the heart, is that if what we see is valuable, whether you're an employee or a business owner or, whatever, but if it's of value to somebody, it's much easier because you're solving the problem. And what I loved about your book is, in your book, you actually step back and say, what are your core values? Because those are part of your sales skills too. For me, I went, okay, I like to make things easy. I like to teach people. So that was part of my core values. But I think those are the things that are really important. And like you said, typical sales training, they're not teaching that sort of stuff. It's just, here's our product, go out, convince people, make them afraid that they're going to lose an offer or something like that. So
it's kind of selling with fear in some respects, isn't it? I think the value piece is such a huge conversation, Gillian. Value comes from so many places, our own core values, the value of what we're selling, but equally the value of what our customer thinks value is. And that's the bit I think often gets missed. So we're assumptive about what value is to our customers. We know the value in our product, so therefore this is the value that the customer wants. Surely that's correct.
Surely.
Not necessarily, because there's a sense check here. You have to check what your customer thinks value looks like, because it could be very different. Our customers' worlds are totally different from our world, which is the other bit I love. And I always say, step into the world of your buyer and don't just dip your toe, immerse yourself. You can feel it, can't you? Because honestly, there's nothing more lovely than entering a place that you don't know and learning and understanding what it looks like to your customer. And my goodness, how does your customer feel when you start doing that kind of stuff? They feel really loved. They feel understood and listened to. And of course, then we build trust. You know, it's obvious stuff. But I think what happens with a lot of entrepreneurs who have big fears around selling, training that we've known that's legacy type training from the 80s, all of that stuff is actually quite unhelpful to how we now do business as humans. So that's where I come from.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So I just saw that we are getting lots of comments. So should we take a break and look at some of these comments? Because that's always the fun part. Okay, so we have the wonderful G. So it's kind of like Clubhouse, but live.
I love it. Hi, G. So super to see you.
So hi, y'all. 2 faves, Gillian, Whitney, and Jules White. Woohoo! Oh, happy hot Tuesday from Frisco. It is. It's hot.
It's hot in the UK.
It's hot everywhere today. Hot everywhere today. Oh, Jeff, I wish I could stay the whole time to see 2 of my favorite ladies, but I will only be able to stay for 15 minutes. Love you both. Oh.
Love you, Jeff. I must catch up with Jeff, honestly. Such a long time since
another Jeff Young fan. G loves Jeff Young.
Amazing.
And he loves her back. We've got some loving going on today. Oh,
I love this. I love this. Look, more Jeff. More for Jeff.
Jeff.
That's wonderful.
Awesome. Jillian and Jules White, lovely to see you ladies this morning. Oh,
nice to see you. Nice to see
Young,
you.
hope you're well. I just love how these comments come right up on the screen. Busier than a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking. Selling from the heels. Okay, so that's a strange expression. That actually goes to a guy called John Carlton, just if you want the trivia. And he is a copywriter who specializes in those gigantic sales pages, you know, when you go to buy something. And he says, pretty much you just kind of keep having them read. And they're like, okay, fine, I'll buy. I would have reading the sales page. But he's actually quite a master. Love hearing that, Jeff. We are doing well here. I thought that I was a typo in the caption. Heels. Oh, okay. So nobody's heard of this but me. Okay. So that's good.
It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, though, the way you explained it, Gillian, doesn't it? You know, I hear it a lot. Look, you're probably not going to want this. You might not be ready to buy right now, but, you know, and it's such a negative, submissive way to sell. And actually, people want to feel like you're confident in the solution that you're offering. And that doesn't mean you have to be pushy. That just means that you have to show you totally believe in what you're selling. A bit like you said with the paper. You didn't really quite believe it, you know, so therefore people know that stuff. They can sense it.
Exactly. Yeah. People have always told me to go into sales. I've resisted, but we're all selling something or other or our own selves and brand too. And that's so true, isn't it, Jules? Like you said.
Oh my goodness.
You're selling as a kid, little kids saying, can I stay up late? And talking them into like, I want to go to the movies and all the different things that kids do. You know, I want that bike, you know.
Yeah. So you remember, first of all, gee, oh my goodness, there's just no better salesperson than you because you're just such a fabulous person. So immediately you're magnetic, you know, and you need to understand that. And that's your personal brand. And I think what we have to remember is there's something I talk about, Gillian. I think you might know what I'm going to say. Instead of our USP, our unique selling proposition, We're now talking about our UHP, which is our unique human proposition. And I did actually kind of come across that myself. I sort of thought, this makes so much more sense, because your greatest asset now is actually you. There's no other you on the planet, you know. So I think it's really important that we tap into that and start to build confidence around who we are as an individual.
I agree. Okay, we have more comments. Okay. We are our own product. That
There
is
she
absolutely true. That's true. And I think that's why it's important, like for marketing and sales, to understand who's your customer, what your product is. And a lot of times we're selling the transformation, because I know that you talk about that in your book too, where you talk about you're basically taking people, you know, that's the transformation. You know, here's the hell. If you keep doing what you're doing, this is what you're going to continue to have. But if you make this implementation, which hopefully my product or service solves that problem, then here's heaven. This is the transformation. Here's how your life could be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hell to heaven. I chose those words because I just thought everybody kind of gets what they mean. You know, they're very strong words.
You don't have to be religious. We all know that,
No,
right?
Exactly. And it's the transition is what I call the value journey. And the transition of taking someone from a hell to heaven is the value that you then give them in that product or service that you offer. And like I said before, the bit to really sense check is that you understand what value means to them, because that is such a huge connector. It really is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, gotta go. All you
Bye,
fine people, have a great day. We love Jeff. Okay, great discussion here. You are both gems, and you could sell ice to Eskimos.
We need some ice today.
It's all new to me too. And yes, we're all selling something every single day, but it doesn't have to be like the slimy door-to-door salesman. And I guess they really get such a bum rap. But I guess if the salesman nowadays, we're all in the house, like those door-to-door salesmen, they could start off life anew, come in and I remember there used to be a thing that might not have been in the UK, but we used to have a thing. It was like the Hoover vacuum guy, like they would sell vacuums like door to door. And the guy would like come in and like throw dirt on your carpet. And, and then he'd vacuum it up because he showed the transformation. Because you might say, well, my rug's not dirty right now. But if you throw dirt on it and you see this thing pick it up, like that's the transformation.
It is transformation. And it's an amazing story. And I probably can't give you massive detail, but my father, when he was a young man in his early 20s, one of his first jobs, he lived in Watford, which was just outside London in the UK. One of his first jobs was riding on the train into London with a vacuum cleaner, selling it door to door. And I'm not even kidding with you. And that was how we worked. We never had internet. Even when I first started work, we didn't have internet. So therefore the salesperson was king, Gillian. Whatever we said, actually, well, that must be true. I often use the example, I'm the number one in the world. But no, nobody could look that up on Google and check me out, could they? So, but actually today we can, and we're so much better informed. The buyer is king. The buyer is bright and clever and informed, and that needs some respect when we're selling. And I think that's where the changes come in. So.
I agree. And like you even think about like car salesmen, like we always, poor car salesmen, they just get such a bum rap. That's like everybody hates the car salesman. But in essence, now, if you think about it, like I've bought a car within the last couple of years. And when I went to buy my car, it was like I was so educated. So now even a car salesman, and I'm not dissing on them at all, but they understand that their customer is coming and they can't be fooled. They're going to do the reports. They've read consumer reports. They've gone and they kind of have an idea of what things are going to cost. So we are educated. We're in a different time than when your father was, lugging that vacuum around because Well, you'd buy that one, right? Like there wasn't like drop shipping from Amazon didn't happen then. So
Exactly. And I think, there's statistics out there that you can quote. I think one's around 70% of people have already actually decided what it is they want to buy before they speak to a salesperson these days, just as a general idea. And I talk about this in a lot of my interviews that I do, that we are no longer just in sales, we are also in marketing now, more so than ever. And so we need to be visible and be showing up authentically and consistently. And then we get on the short list and then they come and talk to us, So there's so much more to it now. And it's so much more human based and connection based than it ever was before, which is what I love. It should be like that, really, I think. So.
Absolutely.
Rebecca Wilson. Oh my goodness.
She's awesome with her. I'm loving her book videos. And I saw that, she's just doing all these wonderful. So she was your winner. What was she your winner for? Can you just explain that?
Oh my goodness. So I have a Facebook group, which we call the Sales Hub. So if you're on Facebook, come and look us up and join us. It's a free
we'll put
group.
that link in the show notes. So everybody can join.
Brilliant. And then within that group, we do challenges. I don't do lots of challenges, but I just do really selective ones. And I try and make them very, very good in terms of informative and the learning side. And so we just did Slayer's Den, which is a pitching competition. And of course, it's based on the Dragon's Den. It's a pun.
Dragons.
Yeah. But it's all about helping people to learn the real core things in a pitch that are going to be the best things, to use, and how we connect and storytelling and all the lovely things. And the first week, everybody comes into the challenge. It's a free challenge and they pitch and they learn. And the second week, there's a twist. Now, I cannot reveal the twist because I will run this challenge later in the year. So Rebecca does know what the twist is, but I'm sure she's not going to tell you. So don't try and bribe her.
Okay, we won't.
But Rebecca was absolutely superb. I mean, everybody was fabulous. They really were good. And they are what make challenges good, the people who take part. But Rebecca's transition from really not really doing video, because you'd love this, Gillian, really not doing video because of confidence and everything else. And now just posting these amazing videos. And then her pitching in Slayer's Den was just absolutely fabulous. So, yeah, she was a very worthy winner.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And I would just say her videos, her book review videos, they're selling. She's not making any money selling those. It's not like she's got, she's an affiliate for every book. But again, she's selling, here's what it's about. Like the other day, I was watching one of her videos and she was talking about Known by Mark Schaefer. And I went, I haven't read that book. I need to read that book. She sold me. She sold me. Yeah. So it works. Yeah. It works, guys.
And she does it so beautifully, because she really does sell you the reasons why you should actually go and get that book, because she talks about what she learned. So she story tells, and that's the other thing about selling, is the stories that we tell are the things that really connect us as humans. So her story of what she learned in the book means that you make a decision and say, oh my goodness, I want to learn that too. And that then leads you to go in a way to buy the book. And it's exactly the same in sales of your own product. I think what's really interesting is the bad press and the implications that go with that one little word, Gillian, that one little word, sales. Yeah. And it just strikes fear. It makes us remember bad memories of being sold badly to. And it's just one word. And fear is another thing that I do a lot of work with my coaching, because you've got to start there. You've got to overcome fear around selling in order to sell beautifully from the heart.
It's huge. And I know Daniel Pink, I think, wrote a book about, I think it was called Everyone is in Sales or something like that. And
I think it was it To Sell is Human or something like that?
It could be. That could be too. And maybe he did too, or I'm getting them confused. So you're probably right, not wrong. But he actually did like a survey. And it was like, it might have just been like at a talk he gave. And he asked people to say, when you hear the word sales, what's the first word that comes into your mind? And it was like, they were all negative. icky, slimy, like on and on and on it went. And he actually did like one of those word clouds, and he showed like how much negativity we have around the word sales. So it's like, and it's almost as if you need someone like you need a Jules to help you make that shift of, I have to have a paradigm shift of what I think sales is, because how do I sell if I'm dragging all that baggage with me? So
and I think the lovely Angus Grady often says it. He won't use that word, and he talks about helping. You know, helping is kind of the word he goes to from memory. If it's not helping, it's something that means helping, because he has such lovely words he uses. But the point is that he's reframed it. You know, he's just used a different word. Ultimately, we are helping someone with a problem and providing a solution for them. And I think that's so important mindset wise when we go into having our own business. And without sales, we don't have a business, do we? So we do need to fall in love with that word.
And he emphasizes the conversations, because truly sales is a conversation. It's about really client relationships, you know, getting people to know, like, and trust you. That's a whole series, you know, that's a whole thing. So it's like, know you and trust you. That's the people part, where you have to have a relationship with people to understand what their problems are, because what you have might not be the solution for them. Something else could be. So you can't, you know, and I think that's what we kind of sometimes don't like about people that so quickly connect with us, and then they want to sell us stuff and they don't know us yet. So how do you don't even know my problem. How can you present that you're a solution when you don't even know me yet? So
and I had someone, you know, we could have a whole conversation probably about those horrible DMs we do get. And I would just love to help every one of those people, if I'm really honest. But one guy, only a few days back, same thing happens, you know, I'd love to find out more about what field you're in. And I just wrote back and said, then you just need to read my profile. Because I just thought, it's there, you know, I couldn't have put it all over my profile more, that I'm all about sales done uniquely, you know. So
absolutely. Now, speaking of helping, you do have something happening this week. Can we talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's some free help that anybody here can take advantage of. So can you just what you got cooking?
So I've called it a free masterclass webinar, and you very rightly said, is it a webinar? But what I do is I run them on Zoom. So you do see the people who are coming in.
So it's interactive.
Just so you know. So it is interactive to a point. Of course, you can come and put your camera off, so don't worry about it. But I scheduled it for an hour, just so that we've got plenty of time to cover the subject matter and then any questions and bits and bobs at the end. But basically, it's called Time to Refresh Your Sales Strategy. And the reason I want to talk about this is because obviously we've all been through the pandemic. We're still going through it, some of us, and business has changed. You know, your customers may have changed. You will have changed potentially. So actually, have you stopped to think about how you're now selling, how you feel about it, who your ideal client is? Have they changed? And then what value are you actually providing, and how do you get that across in these times to people to show that you really can help? So there's some really cool stuff in there, and I would love for you to come along. If you're not in the UK, it's at 10:30 on Thursday the 17th.
10:30 a.m.
10:30 a.m.
in the UK.
Now, in the UK. But if you're in the US, I appreciate that might be the middle of the night for you. But if you wanted to register, you can then get access to the replay afterwards. So please do. Yeah.
Perfect. That's great. And, you know, and if you want, you said you can show up if you're in your jammies and you're in the US and you're like, oh, okay, that's like, you know, 12 o'clock at night for me, whatever. If you're a night owl, show up, put your pajamas on and throw your Zoom, you know, just turn your video off and you can just listen and, you know, watch or whatever. Or like you said, get the replay. And then, you know, that's great. You'll learn something. And like we said, this is timely. This is the time where we now have to like, okay, we're a year and a half into this thing, folks. We have to keep moving and going forward. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm going to register because it will be 2:00 in the morning. And you know what? If I'm up, I'm coming in my pajamas.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Any insomniacs out there in the US, come on in.
Well, and you know, it's so funny because those kind of lines are blurring because like we've had people in Clubhouse that have been in China. It's like 3:00 in the morning for them.
Know.
And people are just like, you know what? Sleep. It's like, you know, it's overrated.
It's so funny. I love that, overrated. Yeah, I think my body's definitely thought sleep was overrated for a long time, Gillian.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we probably should end here just because I try to keep these to be 30 minutes. We still have tons of comments, but we'll get them in the DMs later, and we'll get up to everybody's comments. So just to follow up, I'm going to put a link to the Facebook group. So they don't have to be in your membership site or anything. You just have a straight Facebook. Anybody can join this Facebook group, correct?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So that's a free group. And then I have a membership, which is a paid. Yes. Yes.
Super. And I love your membership program. I've actually spoken for them, and we did a video, sort of how video can mirror the book that you do.
Yeah.
Check out Jules's book. Let's put Jules's book in the show notes because it's a lovely book. It's almost like a workbook. You know, you could almost do like a workbook. Just saying. You can make a workbook to go with that, Jules, because that would be a fabulous, you know, because there's so much you have to keep thinking as you go through. And you really get a lot of shifts. I got a lot of shifts reading that book, which is, you know, kind of led me to getting to know you. And Jules has a podcast. I feel like a commercial. Wait, there's more, you know, because there's so many different things, YouTube channel, whatever. And if you're not connected with Jules or following Jules, please go follow her. She's a great lady. I'm thrilled to know you, and I'm thrilled to call you friend. And Clubhouse with the Fab Four, you know, and we're not talking the Beatles. We're talking the joke with the Irishman and, you know, walks into a bar. So walks into a club.
Gillian, you're so kind promoting all my bits. I have one link which leads you to everything, and I think you'll be really glad to know that. So I'll be able to put that in and send that to you. So
awesome. So we'll put that right in the show notes so that we have everything. So Jules, thank you for coming on today to talk to us about selling from the heart, because it is so true. It's the time. We have to stop selling from the heels, lean in, sell from the heart, believe what we have is wonderful. Somebody out there is waiting for what we have, and we just need to crack on, get in.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we'll sign off now, and we'll see everybody next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.